Introduce yourself to me. I'm sure y'all's names look familiar, but you know what? After this past weekend, like I've had a hard time the last couple of days of even just focusing on anything. So remind me who y'all are and where y'all are from again. Okay. Did y'all come to the boot? Did y'all come to the whatchamacallit? Remind me, did y'all come to the Badass Summit? I want to know. All right. And where y'all from? And let's see what else. Um, what y'all are interested in. Are y'all newbies? I'm guessing y'all have no idea about real estate investing, or have y'all done any deals at all? So introduce yourself in the chat for me and remind me who you are and where you're from, because honestly, after this past weekend, I can barely even think. I'm not doing very well at all. And I've been going since, like, I haven't had a day off since the summit. Okay. Janet says the summit was amazing. Oh my gosh, it was so good, wasn't it? Oh, it was so good. I'm still kind of like high off of that summit, honestly. It's keeping me motivated this week, like to keep pushing forward. Now, I don't work on Fridays. I take Fridays off and I spend it with my daughter. I call it Lillian Day. So I'm looking forward to Lillian Day, that day off, and this whole weekend. I'm just taking like 3 days off and just gonna veg out. Yeah, but yeah, it was so amazing. All right, so is it Tunisia or is it Tunisia? She's in Macon. Okay, awesome. She's a newbie. Okay, good. Colleen, I remember you from Scottsdale because you were at the summit. Okay, the summit. Yeah, you did attend. Okay, so Tunisia was there as well too. Okay, Janet was there. Deanna in California. Okay, good. Awesome. So everybody was there. Good. Okay, awesome. All right, so it's starting to work. Remember to spread the word about REI USA. Yes. Spread the word about REI USA because we're growing very rapidly. And even the teachers, like I just picked up a new teacher today. Y'all are gonna be blown away by this teacher. She's in the onboarding process right now. So it's going to take a couple weeks for her to be announced, but it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. I'm so excited. All right. So we are on week 4 of the 7 critical steps webinar series. Okay, this is week 4. Week 1 is was how to choose your market. All right. And then week 2 was setting up your office and becoming like, setting your company up, and then also how to become virtual. That's what I taught. And then week 3 last week was marketing strategies and all the different types of marketing that you should be focusing on. And then today we're talking about the most interesting thing about real estate investing that you could possibly imagine. Can anybody guess what we're going to be talking about today? Can anybody guess? This is the most important thing, right? So this webinar series is I believe the 7 most important steps and things that you should be doing in your company, right, to get the foundations of your business set up. And so that's kind of what it is. This is a 7-week webinar series. I started in this like the second week of January thing. So we've already we're on week 4. So just so everybody knows. Now you can go into the members portal and you can watch the last 3 weeks, which I highly recommend that y'all do, because especially if y'all have no idea about real estate investing, it's kind of like takes you on a step-by-step journey on where you should be focusing. Okay. And the way that REI USA is going to work, I'm going to try to plan it so that once you guys come in, the first thing that you're going to see is me. So you'll be able to come to like a new members orientation. You'll be able to do I'm going to be doing the beginner investor, like once a month beginner investor, series, like once a month, super group. And then I'll do virtual speed networking. So then I can get you guys to get out there and start meeting each other as well too. Those would be my 3 like kind of like beginner things. And then I also do self-storage investing. Okay, so make sure you keep a lookout. Those will be on the calendar starting this month or next month. I'm not sure. I can't remember. So okay. So today we are going to talk about contracts. Right? Nobody ever teaches like how to fill contracts out, when to use contracts, anything like this, right? They just like, oh yeah, just put the thing under contract. Right? That's what everybody says, right? So we're going to get into like, what does that mean? Put the property under contract. Okay. Has anybody in here put a property under contract before? Give me an update. I know Christy has. Christy's here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how to put properties under contract. Okay. And actually, honestly, I'm taking you guys through what's called my 6-step process. Okay. My 6-step process. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. The six-step process today. Okay. And basically what that is each of your departments in your business, right? So you don't really realize that you got a whole business set up as an investor, right? You're at the top, and then you have your office admin department, your marketing department, your acquisitions department, your finance department, your construction department, or if you're going to hold on to it, that would be like maybe management. Sometimes you can interchange those. Sometimes you can have both. And then you have the liquidations department. So sometimes you can have 7 departments. Like if you do like a buy and hold, and you have to do like a little rehab on it, and then you hold on to it, then you would have 7 departments, right? If you're just doing rehabbing, then essentially you would have a construction department. If you're doing wholesaling, you would have 3 departments, which would be your admin. I can actually draw this. Let me draw this out for y'all because I know y'all. I put my thing here so I can draw it out for y'all. Let me know if y'all can see this. Okay, perfect. Can y'all hear me now? I just want to make sure because I accidentally knocked over my microphone. Hang on. Got to get situated here. Okay. I'm like still sitting in my chair. I'm sorry, but I'm like so tired from this weekend. Okay, actually, I'll stand up for this. Okay, your department. This is what your business looks like. Six, and maybe a 7. All right. This is your organizational chart. Okay. And guess what? You're right here. I started out that way too. Don't worry. All right. Right. The goal is to get you out of this and man, just be like you, right? So this is like you. Anybody here have like virtual assistants or anybody doing anything outside? Most of us, like the very beginning, you don't do that, right? Once you get started, then you can start doing that. All right. So these are your departments, right? So this is your office. This is your this is your marketing. This is your acquisitions, right? This is your finance. This is your construction. This is your management. If you have management, like if you're going to be rehab, if you're going to be holding, and then this is your liquidations, right? Liquidations. If you need to sell it, this is your department. And depending on which track that you go to, then essentially these are the departments. Okay, so if you're wholesaling, then essentially you would have like it would be like you. It would be like, okay, I'm only going to wholesale. Like that's my rule. I want to wholesale. That's it. That's what I say, right? So then your business would look like like kind of like this, which is like marketing, market, right? Acquisitions, and then liquidate. And you can have your office if you want your office here too. You can say, oh, I don't want to forget my office, right? This is office, right? And this is you all the way across. All right. And then if you were going to, just rehab, then you would take out the management. All right. And the management. And essentially when you draw your organizational chart out, like when I first got started, basically my coach was like, you need to draw your organizational chart out. And I was like, I do? Why? And he's like, because you're going to manifest that. Right. So essentially that's what you want to do is draw it out. So I drew it out and then I had it like on my wall for many, many years. Then we sold my office and we moved to this office. And then I was like, man, I'm done with that. Cause then my organizational chart is like kind of all over the place. I took my organizational chart, the very, very first one that I ever made, and I stuck it into my my trunk. Does anybody here have like a trunk that they keep all their like most prized possessions in, like from across? Like I have this trunk, and I just like my most favorite things ever that I've ever done or had or gifts or anything, I'll stick them in this trunk, and then I can hand it over to Lillian when she gets older. And so I put my organizational chart into this trunk. And so she can be getting this big trunk, and she can open and be like, "What the hell's this thing?" And I'll say, that is why you have so much wealth. That organizational chart right there. So anyways, okay, so this is your organizational chart. So your homework until next week is to draw your organizational chart. Create however you want to create it in like, PowerPoint or whatever. You can make it like as boring as possible, as beautiful as possible. And then do me a favor, take a picture of it and post it in the private Facebook group. If you do not have an organizational chart and you are watching this like now or in the future, because this is the course, then you should definitely be drawing your organizational chart and take a picture of it. You post it on your wall so you can look at it and you can manifest your company into whatever you want it to be. Okay. So, okay. So now today, so as you can see, as we went through the 7 weeks, the first week we talked about market, like how to choose your market. So that's not really kind of part of my 6-step system. But then the next week we talked about setting up your office, and last week we talked about marketing, and this week we're talking about putting the deal under contract, which is your acquisitions department. I'm very organized, very systematized, even in my teaching. So it may seem like I'm all over the place, but I'm really kind of organized. All right. Okay. So now we're going to talk about acquisitions. All right. Y'all ready for the good stuff? Let's put some contracts down, right? Let's put some deals under contract under your acquisitions department. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the ARV formula. Who knows the ARV formula? If you know it, put it into the chat, please. All right. I want to know who actually knows it and who does not know it on the group. We got 12 people in the group. Awesome. It's growing. Last week, I think we had like 3 people. All right. REI USA is coming alive. All right. So, if you know the ARV formula, put it into the chat. If you know the ARV formula. If you do not know it, say, I have no idea what you're talking about right now, Stacy. Okay. You have to know the ARV formula for like quick calculations. All right. For quick calculations, you have to know the ARV formula. And actually there's apps for this too. So, I started back in the day when like there were no apps. All right. There was nothing. So I just have to use my bubblegum brain. Okay. So that's Christy got it. Awesome. All right. ARV. The ARV times 70% minus repairs equals your offer, or minus wholesale fee equals offer. Okay. What does ARV stand for? Who knows what ARV stands for? ARV is after repair value, which actually means what are you going to sell the property for? All right, that's what it means. What are you going to sell the property for? Okay. So does everybody have this formula written down? Because this is key. Like you need to have this formula also written down right next to your chart. Right. So you just have this like ARV times 70% minus repairs minus my wholesale fee. That's my offer. Oh, actually, we call this the MAO. Maximum allowable offer. Maximum allowable offer. So y'all didn't know that when y'all gonna be taking my class, you're gonna do some math, right? Math. Got to learn math and when you do real estate, or you just use an app now, right? But we got to at least learn how to do a little bit. Got to understand the concept, okay? All right, so this is the formula. Now, for me personally, when I look at this formula, all I see is a process. All I see is a system. Okay, so let's go through that system today and let me show you what the system is to put deals under contract. Okay. So now we have the ARV formula. ARV. All right, we have that here. Minus repairs. Sorry, ARV times 70% minus repairs. We're going to write it here so we don't forget. Minus the wholesale fee equals your Mayo. Okay? All right? So take out a piece of paper and write it like this, and then you can take notes on the side when we go through this, okay? So how do you find your ARV? How do you find it's the price you're going to sell the property at after you've done everything that you possibly can to make it worth the most amount of money that you possibly can make it, right? That's the sell price, right? This is the sell price. Is it sell or sell? I always mix those two up. You would think I'm in money. I should understand those two, right? Okay. The sell price, or is it sell? No, maybe it's that way. It's sell. That's looking better. Okay, so for the sell price, all right, you're going to, how do you find the sell price? You have to run comps, right? So step one to putting deals under contract is running comps. So this is the process like, let me see. We did this, right? So this is the process here. So we set our company up. We started doing all this marketing. And now we got all this marketing going. And guess what? Calls are coming in. Calls are coming in. All right. That's what you want. You want calls to be coming in, right? And then as you get the calls coming in, now you have to start taking the calls. All right, that's what I'm talking about. So last week we talked all about the marketing, getting your marketing set up. Now you get your marketing set up, move to the next step, and now you're like, crap, calls are coming in. Oh my God, now what do I do? That's the step that we're on, okay? Now, once you get your marketing done, I sent everybody out an email. I sent a little video in there. I said, your next step is to get your marketing. Did you guys watch my video? I said, your homework is to get some marketing set up so you can get calls coming in. You get calls coming in, and you can put offers in. You can run deal analysis, and you can put calls coming in. I'm teaching you right now how to really run deal analysis. That's what I'm doing, okay? And then actually before this step, I wanted to just add one to run comps. You want to get a seller lead sheet. Where can you get a seller lead sheet? Where can you get a seller lead sheet? All my REI USA members that were at the Badass Summit, y'all should definitely know this. Where do you find a seller lead sheet at? Thank you. Oh, Rachel's listening to me. Oh, good. Somebody, Colleen, listened. Awesome. All right. So the seller lead sheet is in the forms directory. Okay. So all you have to do is just go in, and I think I have like 2 versions in there. Pick whichever one that you like. And all the seller lead sheet is just like, it's the questions that you need to be asking the seller if they call you. Okay, so that's like like you got the marketing, you talk on the phone, you get the seller lead sheet filled out, and then you move on to deal acquisition and deal analysis. Okay, so make sure you get it in the forms directory. And that is, you should have like, once you get your marketing going, you should have like 10 of those just like sitting out ready to go. You should have a couple in your car just in case you're driving and somebody calls you. Right. I used to have like one of these like expandable folders. This is how dorky I am. Okay. That's why I call myself a storage nerd, because I'm a nerd. I had like one of these expandable folders, and then I had like all the forms in there of what I needed. I had like contracts ready to go, addendums. I had like lease agreements, and I had like my my seller lead sheet, just in case I was driving down the road, somebody would be like, call me up and be like, I want to sell your house. And I'd be like, oh, and I would just pull over and then I would fill out my seller lead sheet. Okay. So you have your seller lead sheet. You keep that out. You ask all the questions on there. You need to get as much information as you possibly can. I was talking to one of my students today in my coaching session, and she's like, I was like, what about this? What about this? She's like, I don't know. I said, did you ask all the questions on the seller lead sheet? And she's like, no, I didn't. I was like, well, then how are we going to run deal analysis? There's no way. You got to ask every question on the seller lead sheet. Okay. Okay. Run comps. Right. So now that's the first step. We got the address. Now we're going to run comps. How can you run comps? To everybody list out all the different ways that you run comps right now. Okay, on the chat. List out all the different ways that you can run comps. I know Christy is a realtor, so she's got access to the MLS, but what if you don't have access to the MLS? What do you do? If you don't have access to the MLS, what do you do? We are partners with Privy. You can go into the partner section on the members portal and try them out. Try Privy out. Benson is the owner. Benson is amazing. I like Privy because I know Benson. I mean, just the owner of the company is the one that like wants to make you successful. That's why I like Privy and I use Privy's, because I can call Benson at any time and he'll just be like, yeah, let me walk you through how to do this. That's the kind of owner, like, 'cause that's how I am. That's the type of person I am. So, and then you have these like huge big companies that have like all these like softwares and it's like customer service and you have to do a ticket and all this. Okay, so Privy is what I use, but you can do, I don't know, FlipComp is still around. I didn't even know that. Highly recommend that if you're using FlipComp, you should just use like Privy. Okay, Privy is way better than FlipComp. I used to use FlipComp like 10 years ago, unless they had totally improved it and it's like way awesome now. But like back in the day, it was not good at all. But I did get one deal off of FlipComp. Okay, so run comps with a comping software like Privy, PropStream, or the MLS. There's so many comping softwares out there. So you can really just Google like, real estate comping software and you can get a whole bunch. But we internally, we just use Privy. Run comps. And then now that you've run comps, so now you run comps and you're like, okay, the average sale price in the area is $150,000. Okay, that's what, like, one of the students that I looked at today, it was like it was $150,000 sell price, right after it was all fixed up or whatever it was. That was the most that you could get out of it. Okay, so that's you run the comps to try to figure out what you can sell the property for. And then you multiply that number. So let's just say it's worth $150K by 70%. This number right here is called LTV, loan to value. Loan to value. And essentially, this is the number that the lender is going to lend you the money for, whatever it is. The lender's going to lend you 70 cents on the dollar. And you can ask your lender, whichever lenders that you talk to, and you should be talking to all of them, especially on the sponsors directory. And you ask them, like, what's your LTV? Like, are you doing 65 cents on the dollar, 70 cents, 90 cents on the dollar? The more money that they lend you, then the higher the interest rate is, just so you guys know, okay? But on average, most of them are around 70%. Okay, so 70 cents on the dollar. All right, so you'll multiply this. So 150 times 0.7 essentially is what it is, which comes out to 105. Okay, and that's it. This is it's 150 times 7. This is the comp. This is what we said. Okay, this is what the house is worth. And we're going to multiply it this. And, if you have somebody that's a 65%, you can do that, or 80%, you can multiply it by that if you know what your lender's terms are. Now, if you don't know what your lender's terms are, then just use 70%, really, right? Because like if you're a wholesaler and you don't know what the buyer's terms are going to be, then just on average, everybody uses 70%. And now you're going to minus the repairs, right? Now you minus the repairs. How do you figure out what the repair cost is? How do you figure out what the repair cost is? There's many, many different ways. One of them is that there is a repair estimate in the forms directory. All right. But you have to go and look at the property. The only way you're truly going to know if, if what the repairs are is if you go and look at it. I mean, if you ask the seller what what repairs they want on the house, nothing is ever going to be wrong with the house. All right. All right. So you say, oh, and then on the lead sheet, it asks are there any repairs needed? Right. And so nobody, they would say, no, it's perfect. All right. One person's like, it may need a new roof. It's about time, or something. And that's it. But the truth of the matter is you're never going to know for sure unless you go over there and you go look. Okay. So you have to go look at the property. Do not do any sight unseen offers or anything like that until you know what you're doing. Because you hear these sight unseen offers, and these are experts that know what they're doing. You as a newbie, you need to be going out, practicing, filling out the repair estimate sheet. And the repair estimate sheet is right in the forms directory. Print it out, just take it with you, put it on a clipboard, and then you just go through and it's like a checklist. Does it need a new roof? Yes. Okay. And then it tells you the price. Does it need a new garage door? Yes. Does it need this? Yes, yes, yes. And then you just go through, you tally it up, and that's your repair estimate. Okay. That's how you should do repair estimates right now. Okay. So not guessing and not being it's a 1,300 square foot house. So let's just say, $20 a square foot. I mean, you just can't right now. You cannot do that until you really, truly know what you're doing and the numbers. Okay. You want to do it correct and just learn how to do it correctly, right? In the beginning. So the repairs, right? Let's just say, and actually I want to go over the 5,000 rule. I call it 5,000 rule. That's my personal rule. Okay, the 5,000 rule. This fits into houses that are anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 square feet. Okay, this is these are the price ranges for repairs. All right, so if it needs a new roof, right? Guess what? It's $5,000. Now, if you're in California, it might be a little bit different. If you're in because I know somebody's in California, in California, it might be more expensive. And it's always good to even get a contractor to come out, or 2 or 3 contractors, and say, look, this is the price. And even when you ask a contractor, of course, they're all going to have totally different prices. You can ask 5 contractors and you'll get range from 50 to 150 grand for a rehab. But on average, on typical houses across the country, okay, a roof is going to cost around $5,000. All right. Flooring for this house will probably cost around $5,000. All right. Kitchen cabinets. So cabinets and countertops. Probably around that. Okay. What else? Electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. So electrical, if it needs a new electrical, plumbing, or HVAC, which is heating and air. Okay. If it needs a new one of these for a typical house, it's going to cost $5 grand. Let's see, what else is there that I'm missing? What am I missing? Tile. You got to retile the whole kitchen, right? You got to retile, you got to tile the backsplash. You got to tile the bathrooms, the showers, or whatever, or the floor if you want to put tile on the floor. Usually for these houses, for the entire house, it costs $5,000. Now, these are typical small regular houses. Once you start getting out into the burbs and it's got a master bathroom that's huge, you're right, this is going to be more money. Okay, but if you're looking on the average, so I just want to give you kind of an average price so you know. And let's see what else is there. And when I say flooring, I'm talking about like nice flooring, not carpet. Carpet's usually $2 a square foot or something like this, okay? But nice flooring, right? You don't want to be if you want to be on the cheap side, rentals, this is not a rental. This is a nice rehab, all right?
So, but you want to be like, as a wholesaler, you want to be focusing on like, the buyers of your wholesale deals are going to be doing like nicer rehabs. Okay. If it was like a crappy rehab, you might as well just do it yourself, right? If it's a rental rehab and it's only going to cost like $10,000 to do the rehab, why don't you just do it? Why don't you figure out how to do this deal, right? Pass off, keep the good ones to yourself, the easy rehabs, pass all the hard ones off. That's what I say. Pass them to somebody else that really wants to do like the hard one if you want to wholesale. Okay, all right, good. What else can you think of? Let me see.
How do you find accurate comps if not having MLS?
I think you probably came in maybe a little bit later. Comps are through TriPrivy. They're a partner of REI USA. So go into the members portal, go under partners and TriPrivy. You can also try PropStream. They're like, you can Google like comping softwares, and then they all have free trials. You can try them out for like 2 weeks or a month or whatever it is. We internally we use Privy is who we use. Okay. So what else? You get my drift on the 5,000. Like pretty much, like if you're doing like if you buy a house for 50,000, sorry, if you buy a house that you know is going to sell for $150,000, and you go in and you look at it and it needs like new paint. Oh, I forgot paint. Paint is expensive, man. Back in the day, I used to get paint so cheap when I first started, and now I'm like, what is it per square foot? It's like so expensive. I mean, people are charging like $5,000 on the outside and $5,000 on the inside to do paint right now. Are y'all seeing that? Because it is crazy paint prices. Why? Paint price never went up, just labor. It's like really weird. I don't know. Back in the day, I used to pay like 75 cents a square foot to get paint. Now it's like $2-3 a square foot. And tile also has gone up. Like I used to pay like so cheap, like $5 a square foot, and now it's like $12 a square foot. All right, so you want to just like you're going to start once you get into it, you'll start learning what all the prices are. And the truth is that you want to be able to be like, oh yeah, I know that price. That's $12 a square foot. You know what I'm saying? And but typically on a small 12 to 1,500 square foot house that most people are going to be buying, I'm telling you over the next couple of years, right? The 1,000 to 2,000 square foot houses, you can go through, and when you're walking through, you can be like, that's 5,000, that's 5,000, that's 5,000, right? And kind of in your mind quickly add up. I mean, appliances are at least $2,500. And for a whole package, at least $2,500. So you're like, oh, it's just paste lipstick. It's just paint and carpet. And, so even paint, to paint inside and outside of a house, that's going to be over $5,000. I mean, like $7,000 right now. I mean, it's like crazy prices, So you can utilize the repair estimate for coming up with prices of what rehabs are, number one. Number two, use the 5,000 rule. I mean, I personally, like when I was rehabbing homes, I would do like paint, flooring, roof, all the subs, and then like the kitchen, the cabinets and like the countertops and appliances, and then like all the light fixtures and, like miscellaneous stuff. And that's already like 50 grand. So for me personally, to do like a nice rehab on a home, it's going to be at least 50 grand, if not more. Not a rental rehab if you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to like put this in for a rental. It's a little bit cheaper for that. But a rehab normally is at least $50,000. Okay. It just costs a lot of money to rehab. People don't understand this. And then they get in and like, oh, I can do it on the cheap and stuff. And it's like, it just doesn't work. So when you find a house that you can sell for $200,000 or $150,000, most likely it's going to take a little bit of money to rehab that thing. Don't skimp on the rehab, especially if you're a wholesaler, because you will never be able to wholesale that deal. Beef up that rehab cost. Beef up that rehab cost. So in the end, the buyer, when they buy, they're like, you know what? You said it was a 60 grand rehab and I did it for 50 grand. That's even awesome. So I'll save $10,000. And then they want to come back to you. You know what I'm saying? So, are y'all gonna have any questions on this? Let me see.
Paint is the most important. Exactly. Paint is so expensive right now. Let me close this door because the sun's coming in. Paint is so expensive right now. It's like so weird. Like it's not even like the labor price has gone up and not the paint price. And lumber is very expensive right now. So you have to do framing for an entire house. Like if you're gutting it and reframing it, which definitely for your first house, you should not do this. But framing is about like $5,000 for a house this size too. I mean, it's expensive to do framing. The sheetrock is also like the whole house framing, sheetrock, 10 grand at least for a typical house. Can you share the name of the apps for the ARV formula? I don't know of any apps because I am old. All right. I'm old school. I don't do apps. All right. I do brain is what I do. Okay. So if anybody has any, but actually there's a really, we have a great partner. Who here wants to do rehabs? Tell me in here, who wants to do rehabs? Who wants to do wholesales? Who's going to do passive income? Who's going to do Airbnb? Tell me what you're going to do. But under the partner section, if you truly want to rehab homes, then you should be checking out Flipper Force. Flipper Force, I'm telling you, is the best project management software out there for rehabbers. Highly recommend that you check that out. Just go to the partner section and you can check it out, get a demo, try it. All right. Flipper Force is amazing. And the owner is such a nice guy. It's just a guy that's like, he flips home on a regular basis. And he's like, I'm going to create my own software, and just do this. And he created this software and it's amazing. Okay. I would like to do rehabs and short-term rentals and long-term rentals. Okay, cool. Yeah. So definitely check. If you're going to be doing any type of rehabs at all, I highly recommend that you look at Flipper Force, because Flipper Force essentially has like the analyzers right in there. So you can just run your numbers. And actually every step of the way for the rehab from start to finish, everything is in there. And if you utilize that whole entire software, what happens is in the end, it'll tell you what your ROI is and what your profit is. So if you want to do, I highly recommend checking out Flipper Force. It's so nice. It's such a great software. Okay, so now we've got the repairs. So I'm going to say this house is like a typical rehab and it needs 50 grand worth of work. Okay. This is not a rental rehab. This is a regular rehab, right? So now repairs, 50K. So we were at 150 for the ARV. We multiplied it by 70% to get 105. We minus 50K for the repairs. So now we're at $55,000, right? So we're at 55K, right? 55K right here. And then the next step minus repairs is your wholesale fee. If you want to wholesale this, if you want to keep it, then your MAO, your maximum allowable offer, is $55,000. So I know I could buy those houses for 55, and that's what I did. My core business for like 5 years straight, I did about 25 rehabs a year. I did 50,000. I bought them at 50,000, put 50,000 into them, and sold them for 150. And I just did that over and over and over. All right. And you'll see a lot of that now. So houses, like that's what I'm saying. You'll see houses like you don't want to buy a house for 70,000, have to put 50 grand into it and sell it for 150. You're going to break even. Okay, you're going to break even. Wholesales. Now, like let's just say I wanted to wholesale this thing, right? You would have to pick that up for at least, like how much do you want to make on your wholesale deal? 5 grand, 10 grand, 15, 20? Yeah, typically it's like 5 to 10 grand. So I always shoot for 10, especially on these affordable housing types of houses. I shoot for 10 grand. All right. So now let's say if I want to wholesale it, my fee is 10K. So my MAO is 45. Right. So if I'm a wholesaler, I would have to, if I'm a wholesaler, I have to put that thing under contract for 45,000 so that I could sell it for 55,000. And the buyer comes in and buys it for 55, puts 50,000 into it and sells it for 150. And that is called the ARV formula. ARV formula. So once again, I'm going to write it on this page. The ARV formula is ARV
times 70% minus repairs minus wholesale fees, if you have any, equals your MAO, your maximum allowable offer. All right. And so let's practice. Get out your handy dandy calculator. Let's get out our calculator and let's practice. Let's say we found a house and it's worth $200,000. Okay. And the repair is going to be $60,000. What is your MAO? Use this formula and calculate it out. And let's do a rehab MAO and a wholesaler's MAO. How much do you want to make on this deal? So 200,000 times 0.7 minus 60,000 is 80. So if you're a rehabber, you should be offering 80K. If you're a wholesaler and you want to make 10 grand, 70K. If you want to make 15 grand, then you get to make 75. If you want to make 15 grand, then you do 75K. I'm sorry, 60K, 65K. Yeah, so minus 15. Yeah, 65K. If I wanted to make $15,000 on this house and I was a wholesaler, I would have to put this property under contract for 65K. Okay. That is what, that is how you do that. That's a quick analysis when you're walking through. If you're at a house and you want to run a quick analysis, use the ARV formula. Okay. Now, there are deal analyzers in the forms directory. There's deal analyzers and there's repair estimates that you can use. And then also there's like apps. There's all kinds of apps. And then there's Flipper Force. Or well, I think somebody said Rehab Valuator. I used for many, many years, I used the Rehab Valuator. That's what I did. It's kind of a little bit complicated, but he does a whole bunch of videos and kind of shows you how to do it. I mean, of course, there's always a learning curve when you're learning some new software. But honestly, the truth of the matter is that the interface of Flipper Force is like beautiful. And Rehab Valuator is kind of like a spreadsheet. So if you think in spreadsheet terms, like me, I'm a spreadsheet person. Then Rehab Valuator works great. If you don't think in spreadsheet terms and you just want somebody to like walk you through the whole process, then you would do like a Flipper Force is what you would do. Okay. And it's Flipper, like Flipper, like FLIPPER Force. Flipper Force is what it's called. And they are both in the forms directory or in the members portal, which I can show you. Now, I wanted to, before we run out of time, now we got the MAO. We know we should be putting offers in. We got our little cheat formula, right? Now you need to put them under contract. You have to run the deal analysis, right? You got to put it under contract. Guess what? There's a contract in the forms directory. Man, that's awesome, isn't it? Okay, cool. Colleen is saying there's a lot of new enhancements to Rehab Valuator. Rehab Valuator is also good. And I like Rehab Valuator because it makes you kind of use your brain a little bit, your bubblegum brain. And like Flipper Force is kind of like a step-by-step process and like it kind of has all encompassing. Actually, Flipper Force is a software that manages your rehabbing company. That's what Flipper Force is. All right. From literally like I'm going out and marketing to I finished and sold the product, the house. What's my numbers on it? Essentially everything in between. That's what Flipper Force does. Okay. And Rehab Valuator is like just a deal analyzer. That's it. Like you can run the numbers to see what your ROI is and things like that. That's the difference between Flipper Force and Rehab Valuator. Okay. Now,
I want to share my screen and I'm going to show y'all the contract, and we're going to go through the contract really fast so you guys have some help on how to put a house under contract. Let me see here. Okay. Let's share my screen. That would probably be good. Okay. Can y'all see my screen? It's the members portal is where we're at. We're in the members portal. Is that a yes? Is that a go? Okay, good. All right, so now what we're going to do is go into the forms directory. I'm inside the members portal. Go to the forms directory. And well, I mean, as we go along, you'll get more and more forms. All these teachers are offering stuff and everything, you know. So this is just kind of like, this is like my stuff. And you see how we got the project review. We've got rehabs, running your numbers on rehabs, contract for a project manager, analyzer, cap rate calculators, a yellow letter generator, marketing spreadsheets, repair estimates right here. Here's your seller lead sheet that I told you about. So I wanted to show you the contract. This is a contract for contractors. This is right here. The independent contractor agreement is a contract for your contractors. Here's an assignment and purchase, and here's the standard purchase and sell agreement. And let's see, I think that's, yeah, that's it. Okay, so you would just download this. Now I got to stop. I'm going to stop screen. Oh yeah, before I stop the screen, I wanted to show you real fast right here under benefits and discounts is partners. Okay. And the partners is where you're going to find Rehab Valuator and Flipper Force and these kinds of things, right? So here's Flipper Force right here. ROI Muse is also a deal analyzer. I did not mention them, and they have every deal analyzer for every property, residential and commercial, right? And you just pay like a small fee. Actually, make sure you get everything from here because you get like a discounted rate for REI USA members. If you went actually to their website and do it, it'd be a different price, okay? Just so y'all know. Deal Machine is here, RealFlow, foreclosure.com. We are going, see Rehab Valuators right here too. Okay. So let me see. That's what I wanted to show y'all. Okay, so now I'm going to stop the screen and I'm going to go to share screen again and go to the contract, which is right here. Okay. And this is what the contract looks like. All right. This is just a very easy peasy lemon squeezy contract. You do not want to be like giving them a 5-page or a 10-page contract to any seller because you're going to just scare them. All right. 2 pages. Yeah. Just look at this contract. Bing, bang, boom. That's all you need. Right. And unless you're a realtor, then of course you got to use the contract that you're supposed to use. Right. Which actually protects the buyer. Whereas this one this protects the seller, this contract. Okay. I mean, it protects everybody, but it's really kind of like, it's for us. Okay, so this is it. So it says agreement. Can you guys see this? Actually, before I do that, make sure y'all can see my contract. Yes, again, I think, right? It's kind of hard with Zoom. You got to always like get in and get out. I'm not seeing anybody complain that they can't see it. So I'm going to go start, okay? Agreement between, and this is where you're going to put like the buyer's name right here. And right here is where you're going to put the seller's name. Right now, and whether or not you do it in your own name or doing the company name, it doesn't really matter. I highly recommend that you're wholesaling in an LLC, right? Because once you start doing too many deals, you become like a sole proprietor. Sole proprietors get taxed so high, like you don't want to be getting taxed so much. Like capital gains is enough, right? You don't want any more than that. Okay. So I would suggest starting an LLC. And I shared the partners page, Legal Shield. Legal Shield will set up LLCs for you, and also Law Clerk on Demand as a sponsor. They'll set up businesses for you if you need help with that. Okay. Agreements between, here is the buyer, here's the seller. All right. And then here's the address of the property. Okay.
And then here is the purchase price. You put your earnest money down. How much earnest money should you put down for a property? As little as you possibly can. I have never ever put any more like on a wholesale deal, or if I put it under contract, never more than like $100. Right now, on my storage facilities, I do a little bit more because they're more expensive, but $10 to $100 is like typical. Now, if you do it through the MLS, you're gonna have to do like $1,000 or more, right? Because they typically ask for 1%. But like if you're just doing it yourself, just put down $10 and just see what happens if they say anything. If they come back and say like, and actually $10, what $10 does is it gives you equitable interest in the property so that you can wholesale it. One thing I do want to point out too is just make sure that you're in a state that you can wholesale in. There's a couple of states you cannot wholesale in, and I cannot remember what they are, honestly. So maybe a good question is to post out in the private Facebook group. Which states can you not wholesale in? I think one of them is like Indiana or Illinois. I think it's Indiana, but it's like one of the I states. If anybody knows, puts it into the chat. There's a couple of states that wholesaling is illegal. So make sure you find out first if you can in your state. But most of them you can, okay, just so you know. And here is the earnest money right here. Total purchase price is here, right? So you're gonna put your total price, and then you're gonna put like, this is where the deposit's gonna be held. Okay. Here's your closing cost. The buyer agrees to pay all the closing costs, right? This is like, and you can always like, if you're going through a contract with somebody and they're like, what, change this or change this, then you can just, just negotiate. Everything on a contract is negotiable. Everything, unless you're a realtor, then you can't really negotiate a lot, right? But on these types of contracts, you can negotiate. So if they say like, I don't want to pay closing costs or whatever, then that's negotiable. If you want to do a subject to, exact same thing. Fill it out, exact same thing. And then you would just add like a terms and conditions right here section. That just says this property is, this, we're working on doing this, like you would this is like this section here, the additional terms and conditions is where you put like your notes into your attorney. Okay, so like you wouldn't say subject to, but you would say like, this is a property that like we're taking over the mortgage. Now make sure that you have an attorney that understands what you're doing. Okay, so subject to, you have to find a subject to attorney to do that. Okay, but for me, I use this contract and then I just put whatever I want into this little section right here because I don't know what to put. I just put like the terms that we agreed upon. That's what I put. So I'll just put like, if it's owner financing or if it's like subject to, I'll just type it in like, this is what we agreed upon, and then just have them like even just sign the contract or initial right next to it. Like you don't have to be all professional and stuff. Okay. Because what's going to happen is the attorney, especially with the subject to, okay, AJ, is the attorney's going to handle most of that stuff. All right. They're going to talk to the seller and make sure they understand everything. Now, this contract is good to use for buyers and sellers. So remember, if you're wholesaling, now if you're rehabbing, you could just put the thing under contract with the seller. And this is like one contract. But if you're wholesaling it, you're going to have two contracts. On one end, you're going to be the buyer of the property. And on the other contract, you're going to be the seller of the property. Right? So you can use the same contract for both sides. Or you can just do an assignment. There's an assignment addendum in the forms directory that you could just use that. So you could put this under contract, with the seller, and then you could just do an assignment addendum and say, hey, I'm assigning this to this person as well. So either way, the way that I do it is I just do both contracts. I do a buy contract and a sell contract. That's kind of how I do it. But some people, they just do assignment. Okay. Closing costs, the transfer of the title, right? We're going to transfer the title over. The closing, here's the date of the closing, right? Here's the inspection period, right? There's an inspection period. So you put this in, you can put the date and the initials. Like I need 10 days of inspection or 20 or 30 days or 3 days or 100 days or, storage facilities. I'll ask for like 90 days inspection period sometimes. And, if it's like a horribly mismanaged facility. But you can, I mean, usually with residential, it's like, you know, anywhere up to like 14 days or 2, 3 weeks. If it's a really horrible house and needs a lot of work and you know it's gonna be like 100+ rehab, then you could ask for like a longer time. Like, look, I'm gonna need some time to really put these numbers together. This is a huge major rehab. Right. And then if it's like you walk in and you're like, I already know 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Okay, I only need like 2 weeks of due diligence. I can get my inspector over here, my contractor, just make sure I'm right. Okay. So like I said, everything is negotiable. AJ says, if the seller wants 20K and owes 100K and has a lien of 5K, I would put 125K as the purchase price. If the seller wants 20K and owes 125K, no. For a subject to, you would put now. You have to go, if you are interested in subject to, AJ, you have to sign up for William Tingle's course, his monthly meeting. He meets on Saturdays, like once a month on Saturday. So make sure William Tingle is the teacher for subject twos in REI USA. That's all he does is he does, I mean, he does creative deal structuring, but he's teaching for REI USA subject twos. All right. So highly recommend that you go there and ask him all these questions, right? Because I don't do a lot of subject twos, okay, on a regular basis. But if it was a subject to, you would be putting in the purchase amount of what you're going to be purchasing the property for, which will be most likely what the person owes on the property. Right. And then if you have some sort of like earnest money or down payment or something like that, you can write that into the stipulations. Okay, there's a down payment of X amount of dollars. And you can come in, I mean, you could go in and just write in anything that you want here or just write it down here. Okay. And I highly recommend that we had our attorneys look over these contracts, but we have a disclaimer that says, like, in your state, make sure that you're using the right contracts for your state. So I would get, like, the way that we do it is we have Legal Shield. All right. And then I just send every contract that I ever do, I send it over to Legal Shield and I have them review it in my state to make sure that these contracts are valid. So highly, highly recommend that you get Legal Shield. It's like $40 a month. Use the REI USA account because it's usually like $75. And I think we get ours for like $40 a month. And they'll review every single contract and, answer all your legal questions and like help you with all the BS that comes with being an investor, right? That's what Legal Shield is for. Okay. So, but you can write in any terms that you want. And okay, also, and also William Tingle, I'm sure he's going to be giving away a lot of free stuff too. So he may have like another contract because he's like such a nice guy. So he may have like another contract that you can use for just subject twos. Okay. So we'll see what he offers. He's starting in February. I think he's like next week. I think he's this Saturday. I'm not sure if anybody knows. Okay. And let's see, there's a default clause, right? So don't go into default. Survival agreement. So this is all like legal stuff right here. And then this is the most important thing. This contract is assignable, number 7. So make sure that when you are doing a wholesale deal that you have an assignable contract, whether you use this one or somebody else's that you got or whatever. It just has to be an assignable contract, right? If it's not assignable, then that means you're buying it and that's it. You can't assign it to anybody else. Okay. And then you would do any other terms that you have, just put them in here, right? Just any other terms at all. And then you sign it. Okay. So that is the contract. And the contract will be up in like just Word, like a Word document. So you can get in there and you can add stuff if you want to add stuff. Now, if you add anything, right, you got to get a contract. You got to get a lawyer to check that out and look at it, right? You're going to be adding stuff, but you can get in there if you need to like update and change something, you'll be able to do that. Okay. We're working on getting everything in as like a Word doc as well too. Okay. Okay. So that is the contract. Any questions on how to run deal analysis on a deal? We're in the acquisitions department of your company. All right. So running deal analysis or putting it under contract. Any questions? Deborah, this is great info. I missed the last 2 sessions. Yes. So all of the sessions are always in training replays for 30 days. So you have 30 days to watch any session that you missed. And on top of that, this is a webinar series. It's called the 7 Critical Steps to Starting Your Real Estate Investing Business. And we're making this into a course, right? So this will be eventually under the online courses, and there is the 7 critical steps is already there from, I did the webinar series, I think like maybe 2 years ago. So it's a little bit older, but I've done it before. So you can go watch all those if you want, again, before we change them out. Once we finish all these the 7 series, this is like the updated version now, right? We're going to stick it right into online courses, and that will be there forever. So you can watch it whenever you want. And also in the online courses is Mike's wholesaling course. Okay, so you can watch that one too as well. And as we grow, there's more and more courses. William already said he's given a course. Everybody, there's so many people giving courses. It's gonna be so awesome. So just keep your eye out. That's why I say you got to utilize the members portal. Just get in the habit of looking for what you need in there, because I'm gonna tell you, 90% of the time what you need is in that thing. And if you can't find it, post it out on the private Facebook group and let us know, hey, like I can't find this or whatever. Get into the habit of posting out on the private Facebook group instead of emailing, right? Because email is just, it's better. I like the community helping each other. Usman answers all of our emails. He don't know. He's just customer service guy. All right. So I like the community chiming in and helping us. So utilize the community, the Facebook community. All the teachers are there helping. All the Badass Summit teachers are there. I'm there, my team is there, and then all these awesome members are there. So let's all help each other. Okay. Colleen, okay, I have only one more makeup course before I'm all cut up. Good, awesome. All right, she's getting cut up. She's taking action. That's what you got to do, start taking action, okay? So my courses are always on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock. Everything I do is Tuesdays at 5 o'clock. Every week I do a webinar for y'all, okay? And some people do bi-weekly, some people do weekly, some people monthly, right? And it's all going to be kind of just whatever time they can give, because everybody that's here is just giving, okay, to teach. All right. And don't forget that y'all are affiliates. Get your affiliate link and post out. I just went to the badass webinar ever. Stacy taught me how to fill out a contract and run deal analysis. Check out REI USA. Okay, Kimberly, can this 7 course be used as your business system that you use to? Yes, that's exactly what I just said, is the ARV formula. That's what I just taught. This ARV formula is a system. This is what you're going to be doing over and over and over again in your business. So once you get into this, your marketing department is a system. Right? Right? Your office is a system. Your marketing department is a system. All the strategies that you do, you should have those totally automated and systematized. Your acquisitions department is what we just went over today. It's a system. It's the ARV formula. It's a process. And once you really get into the step by step of putting offers in, you will realize that you are doing the same thing over and over and over again. So think about the foundations of your business and think about how you want to set your machine up, right? And so as you're going through this process, think about how you're going to automate everything. And one of the best and most easiest ways to automate is to use a CRM right now. Because when I got started, there was no CRMs. I just had to use my bubblegum brain. Now y'all have Flipper Force and RealFlow and all these awesome CRMs. You could just be like, bum, 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 bum. RealFlow, you could mail out your letters. Flipper Force, you could manage your rehabs, stuff like this. You could do something like that, and you could just have it's like our storage facilities. I buy storage facilities that the owners drive down, unlock the gate every day and go in and meet the people and sign the contract. Right. And we haven't met any of our tenants in years. Why? All on some CRM that we can manage right here in our office. That's how you should be running your business. And that was what I taught in the very first session under office. All I'm doing for these 7 series is I'm going through all the departments and I'm teaching you how to set the systems up in your departments. That makes sense? When assigning the contract to the buyer, are you listing the price you paid for it? Or do you edit the contract and put it at 55? When assigning the contract to the buyer, are you listing the price you paid for it? No. No, you're putting the contract, we put on what you're going to sell it at. So you put it under contract for $45,000 on the with the seller, and on the other one you're putting $55,000 with the buyer. Yes. And then you get that cut right in the middle. Did you mention your recommended direct mail marketing platform service? Yes. REI Print Mail. REI Print Mail fulfills. And then we have Karen is our list broker. Everybody's in the, we have several lists. We're in the process of getting a lot of list brokers as well too, but like Postal Impact, and Postal Impact is a list broker. They're a little bit more expensive. And then Karen, Karen Collingwood is a list broker. I'll get her information into the sponsor. I don't know if she's the sponsor. I don't know if she's in there or not. And then also Law Clerk on Demand is a list broker. And don't worry, we're working. Like I have a sponsors manager that's finding all kinds of lists for people, all across the nation and stuff. But I would highly recommend talking to Karen. Actually, what can you do that for me is post in the Facebook group, like Stacy, hey, we all need Karen's contact information. And then I'll post it out there because she is like old school. She doesn't even have a website or anything like this. All right. So she just talks to people. She's awesome. I've been using her for lists for 10 years. Okay. And so I need to figure out how to get her. I need to get her on the sponsors directory. We haven't done that yet. And let's see what else is there. Oh yeah, and then Ryan from REI Print Mail. We are partners with him, and his email is ryan@reiprintmail.com, and just tell him that you're with REI USA, and Stacy said to contact you. Okay, and but we'll get him on to also eventually to talk to everybody too. So then you can start fulfilling. You could buy a list and then fulfill it. Or what you could do is you could just get like PropStream. You can get a list from there. That's like a CRM component. Or you could do like REI Pro. That's also a software where they just kind of it's like you buy the list, they'll mail it, and then you could just manage the whole thing as well too. Some like RealFlow does that as well too. So there's CRMs that like manage that as well. I'm old, like I said, like you can have like a CRM that kind of manages everything, or you can do old school. Call up Karen. I like to talk to Karen because Karen is she's like a strategy person, and she'll like kind of help you strategize. Like, what is your end goal of your list? Like, you don't want to just be buying lists. You want to be you want to be smart about your list. Otherwise, you just waste your money. Okay. And then who else? So it's 2 contracts. Yes, it's either a buy contract and a sell contract, or it's a buy contract and an assignment. There's an addendum. It's called the assignment addendum. It's in the forms directory, which says like Taquan. Is that how I say your name? Taquan. I, Taquan, hereby notify that I am selling this property to John Smith. This is the assignment addendum. Taquan. Okay. All right. Awesome. Got it. So that's like an assignment. It's just like a 1-page, like quick, like addendum is what it is. So you can do either way. Okay. So there's either 2 contracts, a buy and a sell, or a buy. You always have to have the buy contract and an assignment addendum. And those are all in the forms directory. Got it? If you wholesale a deal, when do you get paid? At closing. You'll get paid at closing. You'll get a check at closing. Okay. Have you found a great resources for colorful envelopes? I just use Amazon. That's where I go for my envelopes to do mailings. I just do Amazon. It's a little bit more expensive, but I'm just going to I just feel like making Jeff even more rich than what he already is. Well, now it's not even going to be Jeff. It's going to be like Sassy or whatever his name is. All right. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay. So like I said, I'm here every Tuesday. So hop on, hang out with me. I'll take you through your departments, your systems. And then after that, I'll just be like, beginner investor, this kind of stuff. Like, let's get you going. Let me get you answering your questions. I want to tell you where to go, which directions, which journey. That's going to be me. Okay. After the 7-week series. Okay. All right. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. And I will see you guys in the Facebook group. All right. I'll see you in the Facebook group. Oh, I forgot to mention, I think tomorrow we're doing, no, not tomorrow. Hang on. Let me look at the calendar. I don't know my schedule anymore. It's crazy. The calendar, I think, next Thursday. Yeah, next Thursday, February 11th, is the new member orientation also. So make sure you put that on your calendar so you can come in and I can introduce you, make sure you're on your right path, tell you about all the teachers and stuff like that, okay? All right, I appreciate everything, and I will see y'all at the next training session, okay? All right, take care. All right, have a good night. Bye, guys.